we're gonna go right at 10.
Really good, how do you feel?
No matter whether it's like rigid.
Oh, sure.
Like I mentioned that once.
Always glad when it's over.
Absolutely. Oh, actually, once it starts, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Once the class starts, then I'm in a rhythm, okay? But getting it going with the truck, finding this out, mics out, people, and then once it's going, it's like, okay, now I can go. But this, is the video gonna work? Are we gonna miss it? Are you and I gonna miss it? What you're making?
Well, 40 years ago, life was so much simpler.
Probably so. I was in radio then, it wasn't so good for me.
I learned to preach in a country church without a public address system.
Oh.
I had a shout. Little old ladies with no hearing aids and down the back row, so I said, "Come to church, you're gonna hear." I learned to shout.
It isn't English chapel. It has that big thing on top.
I love it.
So that echoes up. But I mean, there's a thing on top.
Sounding board.
Which helps it to push back down.
You and I should go try it.
there is beauty there somehow. Good morning. Our service this morning will be a bit different from what appears in your order of service. We received word late this week that Matthew Johnson and his wife Fran were not able to leave the Netherlands as expected on Friday because Fran has been hospitalized with COVID-19. Communications with Matt indicate that she is receiving good care and that they hope to return early this coming week. Because of this, we are very glad to have Deborah Bono return. Thanks, Deb. She'll be doing accompanying the hymns this morning and will be utilizing music video recorded by Matt during the pandemic to accompany other parts of this service. Let us now settle into a spirit of worship with a moment of quiet, to be followed by Matt Johnson and video playing Swan's Wake. You are also invited at this time to light a silent candle of joy or sorrow.
Good morning. I'm glad to see you all this frosty, sunny winter morning. We light this chalice as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist religion, a flame that grows and glows in the heart of this congregation. It is the bright light of our search for truth. It is the warm glow of our dedication to caring. It is the gift of the past to the present, and will be our gift to the present and the future. Long may it light up and warm this church and shine in the larger community.
Good morning again. How about a little bit more robustness to that? Good morning.
Good morning.
Much better. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester, a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. My name is Barry Brigham, and I'm one of your worship associates this morning. As always, we begin by acknowledging that in Worcester, Massachusetts, we work, learn, live, and worship on the seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people who survive and remain active as the Nipmuc Nation. We offer a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting with us for the first time this morning. We are delighted that you are here. We hope that you'll join us in Fellowship Hall following the service for refreshments and conversation. If you have questions or desire more information about this service or any of the ministries and programs of this congregation, please do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the cards found in the pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or given to one of the ushers or greeters this morning. For those of you that are joining us online this morning, we offer you a very special welcome for safety purposes and that we might come to know you better. As you are able, please place your name on your video feed. Thank you. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards that are now being circulated. Dave, thank you. Though you are not obligated to sign, we appreciate your information and will only use it for church purposes. During the service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you would like yours to be read aloud by myself, please print it on an index card in the pew and drop it in the collection plate when it comes around. These cards will also be posted outside the minister's office to be shared with our friends at other services. For those online, you can place your joy or sorrow in the chat, and we will share it during that time in the service. In the foyer, there are listening devices and large print service programs and hymnals for those who may find their assistance beneficial. Please see one of our ushers who will be pleased to assist you. I invite you now to turn your technology to worship mode. And finally, please note the announcements on the back of your program. There will be time for short verbal announcements following the postlude. We are so glad that you are here and hope that this morning is an opportunity for rest, reflection, and rejuvenation. Our opening words this morning are words chosen by David Miller. As we gather in the church to think about the meanings of life, to console each other in sorrow and to encourage each other in rejoicing, in our togetherness, there is a power which blesses us all. I would ask you to stand as you are able and join us in our opening hymn, number 113, found in the great hymnal, "Where is Our Holy Church?" Please be seated. All those with baskets of change for change are welcome to come forward at this time. For those of you who are new with us, this is a weekly opportunity for those participated in our religious exploration program to contribute to the ongoing ministry of our emergency fund. If you have change or you'd like to contribute, please raise your hand and one of our basket bearers will find you. I would ask you to open in your gray hymnal to responsive reading number 512. We give thanks this day. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. We come to that time in our service when we pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds, or the work of our hands in the days that have transpired or in the days to come. Joys and sorrows which touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because we can share them in the midst of a company that claims us as co-journeyers. Those of you that have a joy or sorrow to share this morning are invited to form lines on either side of the sanctuary and come in turn to the microphone, telling us first who you are so that those using our auditory enhancement devices might also participate in this important ritual, and then light a candle if you so desire. If you would like me to read your joy or sorrow, please bring it with you on an index card from the pew. If you are joining us online this morning or have a joy or sorrow to share, please put it in the chat, preceded by "please read," so that it can be found quickly and we will share it during this time. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day?
Good morning. My name is Pauline Corshane. I am sad because I can't give away a very expensive oxygenator. One of my brothers had COPD. He died in April of 2021. Before that, he was no longer able to move about with just the portable shoulder strap oxygen. And he wasn't able to get anything better than that because his insurance wouldn't allow it. So he asked me if I would get it for him, and I did. It was a very high-end oxygenator, but the kind that you have to drag with you. But it allowed him to, it would have allowed him to go to his doctor's office and go to the hospital and so forth without practically dying on the way because he couldn't breathe. He died without ever having used it. He just didn't have the strength even to use it, so it was never used. My sister-in-law gave it to me this past December when another brother died, and so we could get it from one city to the other because I don't live in Holyoke. And I can't give it away. I tried all kinds of agencies, but some of them are afraid because they're medical agencies and they're afraid of Medicare licensure. They would lose their licensure. And so if anyone here knows anybody who is really in trouble because they can't breathe and the portable is not good enough for them, I would be glad to give it to them. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Kim Napoleone. I've been up here a couple of times Can you hear me now? Okay. I've been up here a couple of times asking for prayers for my friend Greta. Unfortunately, my friend Greta passed away on Valentine's Day. She had COVID and pneumonia. It's still out there. Please take care. I'm asking for more prayers for her family as they had also lost her father just 2 months earlier, so they're really struggling.
Good morning. I'm Justin Newton. I have a lot of joys to share this week. So 10 days ago on the 15th, our baby girl, Isla May, was born. And so my kids, Haley and Noah, and my wife, Leah, and our two dogs, Charlie and Cooper, our cat, Jack, they've all been amazing at welcoming her into the family. Most importantly, my wife, Leah, who did all the hard work. So we went into the hospital on Tuesday morning, and Isla didn't make her appearance until Thursday morning. So it was a long road, but she was incredible, and everybody's healthy and doing well, and she's here now, hopefully sleeping back there. And I also want to thank Aaron and Robin and everyone else that reached out and sent well wishes. And then also last night, it was a real joy to play some music with my daughter Haley at the coffee hour. So that was a lot of fun and was really special. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sue Nees. I have a couple of postings. First of all, I want to say, Justin, we all know how old you are now. Okay, hang on. Okay, from Sherry Lynn. Thanks so much for all the helping hands that made the Cool Beans Coffee House a success last night. IHN truly appreciates all you do. And as a side note, we raised just under $1,500 to go to IHN, so thank you. I have something from Laura Lenahan. Healing at home today. On my 9th year anniversary of being cancer-free, I was informed I had a mass in my neck. Friday, I had a biopsy taken, fingers crossed. And lastly, just want to let you know that Matt is on Facebook. Thanks.
I invite you now to join me in a few moments of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, we pause this morning to reflect on those things which continue to touch us deeply in sadness, and gladness. Today we remember community events and community outreach, the memories of significant people in our lives and their gifts, the transitions of various people in our lives and what they meant to us, and for what we feel is right for ourselves and for the earth. For all these things, we draw support, encouragement, and inspiration from each other. In the midst of that which challenges us, we remember we are not alone and that we are indeed loved. Help us to be mindful of this when we are apart from each other and when we feel most alone. Give us strength and courage to face the coming days with hope and courage that we can do what we must, and give us moments of rest and rejuvenation for the journey forward. We pray this in the name of all which is holy, true, good, and right. Amen, and blessed be.
I want to thank Barry Brigham for his indispensable help as worship assistant this morning, and to thank Aaron Payson for offering me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you. The morning reading is from an article in the Harvard Divinity Bulletin that I read last December and shared with Aaron, and we agreed that it was worth further discussion. This is a selection from that essay. In her recent collection of essays, Vesper Flights, English naturalist Helen MacDonald observes that the awareness of the specific plants and animals in the natural world around you increasingly means opening yourself to grief. She is not alone in noticing the rising tide of grief that comes with awareness of climate change and its accompanying environmental devastation. The question of what to do with this grief, this climate grief, is gaining momentum because one of the increasingly salient features of our existence right now is the pain of watching our world burn. I agree with Lisa Sedaris and other scholars writing about human emotional responses to the continuing destruction of life on Earth. Neither blind optimism nor paralytic despair is the appropriate reaction to the state of affairs that has led us to this point. Rather, it is a time to mourn. Paradoxically, this mourning, which may at first glance seem to be giving up, is an essential step toward transformation. Butler suggests that mourning is when one accepts that by the loss one undergoes, one will be changed, possibly forever. Perhaps mourning has to do with agreeing to undergo a transformation. Perhaps one should say submitting to a transformation, the full result of which one cannot know in advance. The point is the inability to plan or predict. Even if you say, I am going to mourn now, it is impossible to know exactly what that will lead to. The experience of mourning, Butler says, deconstitutes choice at some level. Mourning means to put oneself outside of one's control. There is no happy ending to this story yet. There is certainly no cause for optimism. One common theme I have noticed in scholars concerned about climate grief is the insistence that we need to abandon optimism. Finnish environmental theologian Panu Pikala, for example, observes that optimism simply isn't up to the challenge of this era. Instead, what we need is hope, and that is not the same thing. But how do we distinguish between optimism and hope? Hope, real hope, not false optimism, is only possible after going through and living in grief. Sedaris, drawing on the work of author Rebecca Solnit, argues that uncertainty, like the uncertainty of the self in the face of grief, is what allows us to hope. Sedaris develops the uncertainty idea using Solnit's metaphor of the dark. Because the unknown is darkness of both endings and beginnings, both of the tomb and of the womb. Within this darkness, we are exhorted to remember that we have been surprised by events in the past. This appeal to the potentiality of the darkness appears in MacDonald as well. MacDonald urges us to take action, even if we cannot see the way forward. Sometimes we are unable to see that miracles are there, waiting to find us. To mourn is to open one's eyes to that fecund darkness. At this time, the morning offering will be received. By our generosity, we help to keep this congregation strong, and we participate in its ministry to each other and to our neighbors, near and far. I have an evangelical friend who believes that there is no global warming or climate change. And she says that the extreme weather events that we are experiencing are not the result of human activity. And she glibly adds that if God wants to wipe out the human race, that's okay with her. She doesn't care. In 2019, I read Dar Jamal's book, The End of Ice, in which he describes his perception of the global devastation happening because of global warming caused by the human consumption of fossil fuels. He says that the glaciers are receding and the Arctic ice caps in Greenland and Antarctica are melting. Forests are devastated by wildfires of unprecedented size and frequency. Sea levels are rising and coastal areas and island nations are threatened by flooding. Permafrost is melting and Arctic villages are needing to be relocated away from their seaside sites. Drought of massive proportions threatens to deprive major populations of drinking water and to destroy the farmland that they get their food from. Extreme heat waves are threatening to make substantial areas of the earth unsafe for human life. Unlike my evangelical friend, Dar Jamal says that he is grieving for the damages to the earth that he loves and for the losses in the world of nature that he cares deeply about. He is grieving for the future of humanity on planet Earth, and he is not the only one. Dorothy Dean's recent article on climate grief and secular spirituality of earth mourning in the Harvard Divinity Review takes up the theme. She says that mourning is a healthy response to grief and offers us a hope of transformation and a newer understanding of ourselves and our identities in relation to the world in which we live. Dean states that mourning is the process by which one reckons with grief, and adds the following description of the state of mind of those who are grieving for the earth. She says it is as if one is living with a loved person who is seriously ill and suffering. Earth mourning is akin to watching someone beloved slowly die, while continuing to hold out hope that a cure may be found at the last minute, and knowing that even that cure can never fully restore the earlier vitality of that person. Driving into my consciousness in these past several years is a growing awareness that human-caused climate change is devastating the Earth's environment. People are saying that the survival of the human race on the planet may be in jeopardy. And I hear some saying that apocalyptic conditions will confront people on planet Earth in the future. I read about environmental devastation that is happening in the world of nature near and far. I see the effects in my own daily life. I do not like what I see. I fear for the future of the world's children. I am experiencing changes on the personal level. For example, last year, the killing frost that ends my gardening season was 2 weeks late. Expected in mid-October, the hard frost delayed till October 30. The outdoor activities that I participate in and lead throughout the year are made more difficult by a changing climate. Last summer, raging fires across northern Canada and Quebec brought smoke that I could smell here in central Massachusetts, making it advisable to protect my health by staying indoors. Those same fires and smoke made it more complicated to plan my week-long canoe trip in northern Quebec. Would there be a campfire ban in place? Would we be set by eye-watering, cough-inducing air pollution while we were trying to enjoy the wilderness? Abnormally heavy rains have been rescheduling or canceling paddle trips and overnight camping trips. Trails have been devastated in Vermont and northern New Jersey. I have seen pictures of trails so eroded by heavy rains that they are now trenches up to 2 feet deep. And periodically, we have had water in our cellar at home. More heat energy in the atmosphere means that we are having more wind and more extreme windstorms. And so I am finding more trees blown down and blocking the rivers on my favorite paddle trips. This makes those paddle trips more laborious and more hazardous. And this leaves me uncertain about what unpleasantness I will meet up with when I launch my canoe at the start of a river paddle. And we are not now getting enough snow for the snowshoeing that I used to like to do in the winter. In past years, I could count on a foot or more of snow covering the landscape for extended periods of time during the winter. Now my snowshoes are gathering dust in the cellar. An article in the December edition of the Appalachian Mountain Club's Outdoor Bulletin says, since 1917, New England has lost about 3 weeks of winter. To be more specific, we are seeing an average of 19 fewer days with snow covering the ground, and 20 fewer frost days of 32 degrees or less, which keep the ground cold and maintain snow. Certain states are seeing even more change. Massachusetts has lost an average of 27 days of snow cover. That's 4 weeks less snow than we had heretofore. In addition to what I am experiencing personally, I am reading about extreme environmental changes on a global level. The polar ice caps in Greenland and Antarctica are melting faster than normal, thus diminishing their size and raising the levels of the sea. It is projected that coastal cities such as New York and Boston and Miami and Tampa, New Orleans, Jakarta, Singapore, Osaka, Tokyo, Mumbai, Kolkata, Dhaka, and Ho Chi Minh City are in danger and will probably need to be relocated to higher ground. And I think relocating the Unitarian Universalist Association headquarters from its offices on the Boston Harbor to a place further inland will be manageable. But I wonder, how does one relocate my alma mater, Harvard University, to higher ground? And what about MIT? And what about Boston University? The world's glaciers are melting and receding, sometimes vanishing entirely. What will Glacier National Park be like without glaciers? What will the people who depend on the rivers in the Indian subcontinent do when their drinking water from meltwater in the Himalayan glaciers is finished? The extreme weather events are happening. Hurricanes like the one that recently devastated Acapulco are becoming more frequent and more extreme. This past summer, extreme heat in Texas, Arizona, and Nevada killed 147 people. Phoenix had record-breaking heat with temperatures over 110 degrees for 31 days in June and July. This past summer, drought in Lahaina, Maui, facilitated the devastating wildfire that destroyed the town and caused 91 deaths, the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. An unprecedented drought in northern regions made possible the widespread fires across northern Canada and Alaska. This past summer, parts of northern Vermont experienced over 9 inches of rain in 48 hours. That is more rain than they normally get in a 2-month span. Closer to home, Leominster and surrounding areas were drenched by unprecedentedly heavy rainfall. Leominster received 9.5 inches of rain in a day and experienced flash flooding and heavy damage. The city administration had estimated that infrastructure repairs would cost between $25 and $40 million, not including damage to homes and businesses. The world is changing in ways that I do not like. The world is changing in ways that make me fearful. The world is changing in ways that make me sad. I have a sense of great loss. And what shall I do when denial is no longer possible? Some people react to loss with denial. They can't believe that it's true. But this doesn't work very well for me. Part of my commitment as a Unitarian Universalist is that I want to know the truth about the world that I live in, and I want to face up to it, however unpleasant it may sometimes be. Denial, you see, handicaps us. It makes it impossible for us to deal creatively with the challenges that confront us. Denial is also an avoidance of responsibility. We are reluctant to make major changes to our lifestyles, sacrificing convenience and comfort for environmental conservation. I don't want to give up my automobile. I don't want to give up those long drives to wilderness canoe trip locations. Maybe that would not solve the problem anyway. Am I also in denial? Big corporations do not want to change their business models. Their current ways of doing business are too comfortable and too profitable. And so I ask myself, what is my responsibility? What can I do? How can I change my daily life? I take steps to reduce my consumption of fossil fuels. I support conservation organizations. I vote for people who are addressing environmental problems. It all seems so inadequate. When I was a young man, my future seemed endless. It seemed that the earth and the human race would endure forever. I supported conservation organizations in hopes of preserving portions of the natural environment and the wild things that live in it unchanged forever. Now I know better. Wild nature is not immune to change. Life is not forever. The earth will not exist forever. In its death throes, the sun will expand massively and envelop the earth, and probably the human race will not exist forever. I am in my 82nd year. In 2021, the life expectancy for women in the United States was 79.3 years, compared with 73.5 years for men. And the National Institutes of Health report that the average life expectancy in the United States is 9.1 years for an 80-year-old man. That's me. And 7 years for an 80-year-old white 9.1 years for 80-year-old white women and 7 years for 80-year-old white men. And so my assignment appears to be clear. It is to live a full and fruitful life amid an awareness of life transiency, while being fully aware of the temporary nature of my existence. It is to live without the kind of optimism that pretends that there are sure and certain answers to life's problems. It is to live with hope, knowing that the outcome is threatening but uncertain. People all over the world are working to find solutions. Perhaps there is still a workable future for humanity on planet Earth. My assignment is to face my fears without becoming one of those who misdirects useless anger at other people. Let me continue to support organizations working for environmental conservation, protecting species and habitats as best we can. Let me remain steadfastly engaged in the political process in support of those who are working toward mitigation of global warming. Let me be numbered among those who show compassion for climate refugees, people whose lives are uprooted by climate catastrophes, those who are displaced by melting permafrost, rising sea levels, extreme heat, drought, and famine. In spite of all, I hope to go on living a life of human dignity and human decency. I need to be asking myself day by day, how shall I live in these difficult times and shall maintain my self-respect when I look at the mirror in the morning? Whatever else I may lose, I wish to save my self-respect. So let me remember that I live in the present, not in the past, and not in the future. Fear about the future can lead to paralysis, Life in the present goes on. I may live with grief. The losses are real. Sadness need not drive out joy. Today, my everyday activities are still meaningful. Today, I still love my family and friends. Today, the beauty of the world around me is still real. Here with you in this moment, I am lucky to be alive. Amen. So be it. Please join me in singing the closing hymn, hymn number 52, In Sweet Fields of Autumn. Fields of autumn, the sweet green, the wild swan is calling. Alas for the daisies, the tall fern and grasses, when wind sweep and rain fall till lands and passes. Snows of December shall fill windy hollow, new Greek rain trails after, and March wind shall follow. The deer through the valleys leave print of their going, and diamonds of sleet mark the ridges of snowing. Mist of death shall stoop over the water, the plover sweep low where the stale streamlets falter. But deep in the earth clod, the black seed is living, when spring sounds her bugles for rosing and giving. We close with the words of Universalist preacher Peter Lee Scott. If we have been disturbed by this time together, perhaps it is good, for tranquility due to ignorance brings only a false and precarious peace. If we have learned something new in our time together, then this is good, for new light must be ever breaking upon us to keep back the clouds of darkness. If we are leaving still unsure where the truth is, then this is good. The truth is never all in. The quest for wisdom must be open-ended. If we are going out, inspired to change our world or ourselves a little bit for the better, then this is good and a blessing on the time that we have spent together. Amen. We have now time for a few short announcements. Those who have announcements, please come forward and speak into the microphone so that everyone may hear. There's a microphone here in the pulpit.
In terms of the climate, I invite everyone to join me at Worcester Congregations for Climate and Environmental Justice. We got the specialized stretch code passed for the city of Worcester, better building code, not burning as much fossil fuel to heat the buildings. Next challenge, I think, is to prevent the Worcester Airport from making space for private jets. In terms of burning fossil fuel, private jets are not the way to go. Also, this coming election, if you want to write letters to people in other states, it's going to make a difference who gets elected.
Hello, I'm Shirley Trait. I'm starting an effort to put together a church cookbook. And I'm looking for people who would like to join me in that effort. So see me in coffee hour. Thank you.
Good morning. I have two quick announcements from different hats that I wear. One is this Friday, turn your calendars because it is March 1st on Friday, and that is our monthly game night here. So we usually have about 25 to 35 people. Bring a game, bring a snack. If you register in advance, you can buy pizza for $5, and it includes snacks and drinks. And we have a great time, and we are willing to teach all the games, plus we have a lot of the old favorites, so come for that. And then my other hat, as an election official, March 5th is Worcester's election date. That's Tuesday at whatever your location is. I don't care who you vote for, but please vote. And if you want to vote early and you haven't already done the mail-in vote, you can vote at the Worcester Public Library Monday through Friday. I think the hours are like 9 to 5 or 9 to 7. You'll have to look that up. But and you can, if you park in their parking lot, you can get your ticket validated to get cost off. It should be free if you're voting because you're only going to be in there for 10 minutes at the most. So please vote.
Hey, I'm Linda Orchid. I'm new to here making announcements after the service, but I am interested in putting together an Easter basket drive for the children in our IHN home. There are 10 children I found out that are living there right now, so I could pick up some Easter baskets. And during the next couple of weeks, I'm wondering if anybody wants to contribute and put anything to put in those baskets, please see me. Thank you.
This concluding the announcement, I remind you that you are all invited to join us in Fellowship Hall for coffee and refreshments and conversation immediately after the service.